Kia ora, I'm Dave Cull, President of Local Government New Zealand, and welcome to the 2019 Candidate Preparation video series. Local Government New Zealand, or LGNZ, exists to represent and support local government across New Zealand. This is expressed through our vision statement, local democracy powering community and national success. As the President of LGNZ, every day I'm lucky to see just how committed councils are to delivering for communities across the country. Local government is the closest level of government to our people, and because of that, it has a massive impact on delivering better outcomes, whether that's socially, economically, environmentally, or culturally. If you choose to run, LGNZ will be here to support you through your journey with resources, best practice and advice so that you can lead your community and help deliver on what is important to them. This video is the starting point for that journey. It contains a range of information for all potential candidates so that you can be well informed on what it means to be an elected member. Think of LGNZ as your support team behind the scenes. This video is designed to give you advice from people who are or have been in the trenches doing the work. They are in a position to give you a real sense of what it is to be an elected member, including the sorts of things you can expect to be required in each role. Our elected members are all incredibly committed and passionate about their various roles. In this video, you'll get to hear about their personal experiences firsthand. We hope they'll inspire you to think about the role you could play in supporting your community through local government. Being an elected member is incredibly important to New Zealand's future, and our communities need good people to represent them, people like you. As well as this video, you can also check out the Vote 2019 and Candidate Preparation Guide on the LGNZ website. No doubt you're watching this video because you're keen to stand for local government. Well, first of all, I congratulate you on considering running. It takes a sense of duty combined with energy and commitment. No doubt you already have a keen interest in your community and its potential. There are a range of roles that allow you to contribute to your community in different ways and at different levels. The videos that follow will give you a clearer idea of where you might best fit and best be able to make the contribution you want to make. Whatever your role, you will have an opportunity to make a real difference to the lives of our fellow citizens, both now and for the future of our tamariki. You'll get the chance to work alongside other passionate and committed elected members, iwi and community leaders. There is a level of time and energy required for the role that you'll need to balance against your existing commitments. I won't pretend it's always easy, but most elected members would absolutely agree with me that it is absolutely worthwhile. Whatever you decide, best of luck for your future.
Well, if you're looking to stand for a local authority, you should know there are three types of local authorities, and they aren't all the same. And so which one you choose may depend on where you live, or may depend on what your interests are. So most people in New Zealand may choose between a territorial authority, that's your district or your city, and their regional council. You could be on one but not the other. But many people, such as if you live in Auckland or Gisborne, you live in a unitary authority, and that has the functions of both a regional and a territorial, and we'll say a little more about that in a minute. But if you are very keen about local things, about the local recreation services, if you are interested in the quality of your local roads, or the stormwater, or your drinking water, or wastewater systems, or if it's really local economic development that excites you, then you'll probably want to look for your district council to stand for your district or your city, which is what we call a territorial authority, because those are the responsibilities that fall under them. So that is what you would look at. If your interest is more regional and you are really strong about the environment and you're concerned about freshwater quality, you're concerned about air quality, or even if you're really focused on the quality of public transport, you would possibly look at a regional council. So regional councils have responsibility for those sorts of things, and that's where you would go. So you'd be a candidate for your region. Now, if you live in a unitary authorities area, as I say, there are 7 unitary authorities in New Zealand, then you're in a sense lucky because your council will be doing all of those things. And that allows you to specialise if you're standing for a unitary authority. Both the local services, from recreation to arts and culture to infrastructure, as well as the broad environmental responsibilities of water quality and air quality. Now, having decided to stand, you have to think about what role should I stand for? Because councils have a number of different kinds of roles. So, for example, if you're standing for a territorial local authority, you may decide you want to be a mayor. And of course, the mayor gets to lead the council, gets to lead the policy making, and gets to lead the community as a whole. So you may set your aspirations quite high and aim for the mayoral position. On the other hand, you may decide you want to just you're more interested in the practicality of doing things or just learning the ropes. In that case, you would stand for a councillor, and councillors basically make up the memberships of what we call the governing body, and the mayor chairs that governing body and leads it. Of course, if you are really, really interested in your local neighbourhood, you want to work with community organisations at a neighbourhood level, you may think about being a member of a community board, because community boards have got a very local, or what we call a neighbourhood focus. Now, not every council has a community board, but look at the structure of your council, look at the positions you can stand for, and you can make that kind of choice. So in some councils, you can choose to be a community board member, or a district or city councillor, or a mayor. So you think about which positions you want to stand for. In many cases, you can stand for more than one position, but you can only hold one when you're elected. And we'll have to say more about that later in the video. If you're in a regional council, you're really standing for just a councillor, but bear in mind that the council as a whole will choose who their chair is going to be. So the regional council chair, who leads the regional council, is selected amongst all the councils who are elected to that chair. Same with the community board. If you want to stand for a community board, you just stand as a member, and the members who are elected will choose who's going to be the chair of that community board. And a bit like the chair of the regional council, the chair of a community board's role is to chair the meetings and to provide leadership to the members of that board.
Kia ora. My name is Jenny Rowan, former Mayor of the Inglewood District and Kapiti Coast District Councils. I believe that the understanding of governance and the role of governance and practice in local government in New Zealand is sorely wanting. To understand the fine line between your role as governors and the role of management needs to be carefully understood and may need some initial training. Your role as a governor is to set the vision and the future directions of your city or district, as well as driving the objectives of the annual and long-term plans that previous councils have set down. This balancing act requires leadership and drive, transparency, and an understanding that the decisions you make will also be audited. You are faced with numerous acts of Parliament and need to understand the main acts which drive local government. For example, the Local Government Act and the Resource Management Act. You need to understand that you will not have any direct involvement in administration or managing operational staff, but instead your task is to provide good policy. For example, your role is not about the potholes. It is about making policy to ensure the potholes are filled in a timely fashion, and then to expect a report back that tells you that this has happened, and then if that doesn't come back, your role is to ask why and follow that up. Your role is a very public one, challenging and exposing, understanding your constraints, and give the stewardship that your community deserves.
He mihi nui. Thank you for the opportunity. He mihi nui. The role of mayor is one of the most exciting roles there is. They're mandated by their community to represent and work for their community. So if you're interested in making where you live a better place, being the mayor is probably a big step in that direction. We're quite different. Communities elect us and we're answerable to a community. We also need to answer to our other elected members, our councillors and our organisations. But we're different to an MP who's elected it from a much larger base but answers to their party. So a community elects a mayor and the mayor answers to the community. It's always a challenging area representing community and the list of community wishes and desires, but balancing that against the constraints around rating. So it's funding versus what you'd like to deliver, and it's always a balancing act in terms of what a community would like and what they can realistically afford. I've been in local government a long time, and I wouldn't have stayed there if it wasn't a great place to be, if it wasn't challenging but incredibly rewarding, and it is. One of the great privileges and pleasures has been working with our iwi, our Māori leadership, getting to know the history and the underlying culture of our area. It's just been such a wonderful thing to do. There's lots of challenges, but it's incredibly rewarding, and I think long-term thinking and delivering outcomes that are going to see your community future-proofed for the challenges that lie ahead is a really important part of the job. I think leading a group of elected people in terms of having wise and conscientious decision making can be challenging, but there's some really good people in local government, both elected and particularly in our organisations, the people that work for us, and it's such a rewarding thing to work with them to be delivering solutions and potential solutions for the future. I think when you're new to the role, it's very, very demanding and you need to put in a lot of time learning the ropes. As you learn more, it becomes easier. I think that it's really important to do some of the small things as well as the big things. So if the Prime Minister is visiting your district or a Cabinet Minister, you certainly go and meet them and welcome them and show them around, and you're an advocate, a bit of a Skype for your place. But if the local kohanga's got something going on, you go there as well. So you always undertake a mix of activities, manage your time well, and it shouldn't be a problem. It's the neatest job in the world. Being a mayor is the most wonderful thing that you could ever do, and I've done plenty of different things, but representing a community that warts and all, but you end up being amazingly proud of people and what they do. Communities are amazing things, and it's just such a privilege and a pleasure to represent them all and to work for them and to try and leave it better than you found it.
Welcome to this amazing job of being elected to lead your community in the next 3 years. It is indeed a privilege, and in today's world you can be totally exposed to many influences, so be prepared for anything. As the chair of your council, your role is to lead and guide discussions inside the governance rules. You do need to be transparent and inclusive as much as you can, as well as influencing policy and regulations in the affairs of management. You are also responsible for the recruitment and management of your Chief Executive Officer and oversee the KPIs and their outcomes. Your relationship with your CEO is critical in my view, and much can be achieved if you work well together. You are the face of the council, and you are required to attend and officiate at a whole range of community events. You do need to show up. Your overall inclusive approach will determine how your councillors will work with you. After all, you are there to balance your community's needs against the amount of funding available. Good luck.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Vigance and I'm from the Carterton District Council. As a councillor, you will participate in the governance of your council. Governance is the action of governing an organisation through directing and controlling the actions and affairs of management and others, and setting the direction for the organisation. All elected members must take the impartial advice they're given by staff and balance it against the needs of the community they represent, and also consider the amount of funding available. You must be prepared and ready to contribute to key council decisions. This can require a large amount of reading papers and ability to interpret the information for your community's best interests. You will be provided with some governance support by staff. While you may have some key areas of interest, your role will require you to work in collaboration with your elected colleagues to make the best decision for your community.
Whaure te maunga, ko te rote iti ki te aihinga te moana, ko te kaituna te awa. O Ngāti Tamatea Tūtahi Kawiti, me ngā te hinekura ngā hapu, o Ngāti Piki ao te iwi, o te arawa te waka. Ko Arapeto Tāhana tōku ingoa. Kia ora tātou, my name's Arapeto Tāhana, and I'm a Regional Councillor for the Bay of Plenty Regional Council, serving my second term. But also had a lot of experience over the past 15 years in councils, both as a youth development and community development officer. I've also sat on a number of different boards for councils as an iwi representative. So, kia ora tātou. So the first thing I'd say if you're considering being a councillor is you've got to be really clear about what your passions and interests are. And I think overriding all of that, you've got to care for and have an interest in your community, in your place. I think the other side of it is then considering what is the right council for you and what role do you want to play. Because there's a different focus between district councils and regional councils. So in my case, as an iwi member who's been heavily involved in treaty settlement processes and advancing, I suppose, the well-being of our people and our culture and our environment, I chose to have a go at being a regional council. And the reason for doing that is that regional councils focus on the sustainable management and protection of natural resources throughout our country. My interest is how we look after our environment, and coupled with that is how iwi Māori values, aspirations are part of that process. So that's the reason that I pursued a role as a regional councillor. The other part of this story too, as to why I stand, is the fact that in the Māori world you do what you're told by your elders, and that's the other factor here, is that whānau, your wider community, your hapu, your iwi are maybe encouraging you to take on these roles, and I see that as a great privilege and obligation.
My name's Mick Lester, and I've now been serving on a community board for 15 years. And in addition to that, I've also been a councillor on the Hastings District Council. This has given me an opportunity to see where the community boards fit in terms of our New Zealand local body structure. They are extremely important and have been since 1989. We now have 110 of them in New Zealand, and they deal with the things that really matter to people. They're also there to ensure that people are represented and that people can come in without all the structure of councils. They can come and really talk to real people. They're also living in areas, mostly small areas, and they know the people on the community board. In that way, I think the community boards serve a really vital purpose in the whole structure of our local democracy.
Hi, I'm Lisa Cornelison, Chair of the Martinborough Community Board. The Community Board role is a very important part of local government. The role differs quite widely from region to region, but essentially you're acting as the voice of the community that you represent. For example, I live in Martinborough and sit on the Martinborough Community Board. We are a small wine region, and the Martinborough ward extends right out to Palliser Bay with a number of small rural and coastal settlements. My region is heavily dependent on tourism and agriculture, so our needs are quite different to the rest of the South Wairarapa. My role is to ensure that the needs of Martinborough are heard and understood when decisions are made by the South Wairarapa District Council. It's hugely important that you have a strong understanding of the needs of your local community, and preferably that you live there, or at least very close by. You'll have a great deal of interaction with your local community. For example, I attend as many community events as possible and get out and meet people from local businesses and organisations across the ward, from sporting clubs to business associations, our local men's shed, community groups and schools. Depending on the dynamics of your local community board and how it works with your territorial authority, Along with your own individual strengths and expertise, you may have the opportunity to sit on community hearing panels to hear about and have input into planning and council policy. You also have the opportunity to, and will, make recommendations to your council on policies, bylaws and strategy to maximise the benefit to the community you represent. Community boards can also make oral and written submissions to their council on local issues and funding requirements. This becomes particularly important during the long-term planning and annual planning processes. Forming a constructive partnership with your council is key. A crucial part of the role includes liaising with local community organisations, central government representatives relevant to your community, and knowing about the services your local council provides. The scope of the community board role, the powers and delegations vary from council to council, so be sure to visit your local council's website to find out more details. As you can probably tell, being a member of your community board does take some time and commitment, but it's also a very rewarding role. If you're passionate about your local community and want to see the place that you live grow and flourish, then I'd recommend that you seriously consider running for your local community board.
Hi, I'm Dan Henderson. I'm the Council Mark Program Manager from Local Government New Zealand, and I've heard a lot from elected members about their busy role, so I wanted to share what you should expect when you stand for council. The one consistent thing you can anticipate as an elected member is that every day will be different. There are common elements to each day. For example, you can guarantee you'll have emails to read. You'll be taking phone calls, you'll be doing some reading, probably an agenda or a report of some sort, or regularly reviewing local newspapers. But in terms of the makeup of each day, every day is going to be different, and that depends on whether you're on council, a local board, or a community board, and whether you're a mayor, chair, or a councillor, or even something else. It might be that you're attending a meeting with residents, you might be hearing submissions, or something that was consulted on. You might be dealing with a resident who has an issue with the council within their community, and they may want to assist you. Or you might be working internally on a project or something you're learning about. In the first 6 months, you'll be doing a lot of learning. There are lots of things that you'll need to learn, and there's training and support that will assist you in learning those things. Chances are that you'll have a meeting to attend. It could be a workshop, a committee meeting, a briefing, or even a full council meeting. And you'll need to learn how those meetings exactly work, and you'll be taught this too. And you'll need to ensure that you're available to attend these meetings and manage your childcare, your travel, and your own work-life commitments. Within your working day as an elected member, and remember, that may not be your standard 9 to 5, Monday to Friday schedule you may currently be used to. You will need to always be thinking and preparing for the next meeting or activity. In fact, a large part of your role will be spent preparing and getting the information you need to enable yourself to make an effective contribution. So yes, it's busy, but never boring, and if you decide to stand for council, I'm sure you will find it worth it.